If you walked into a classroom in almost every country of Africa and you asked the boys to stand up and the girls to stand up in the early primary school years, you would find more or less a balance in enrollment. But as you go on, you will find the dropout of girls rises and girls become a smaller and smaller minority. And it's tragic to look at those little girls and realize the desire for education. They sit and learn in classrooms where they hang on teachers' every word, and yet you know that they're not going to be able to continue. My name's Anne Cotton, and in 1990 I first went to Africa, to Zimbabwe, to look at the problems of girls' access to education. And what I found surprised and shocked me, and I became an activist. I walked from village to village with an interpreter listening to people's views about girls' education. And I had expected to hear that they didn't want their daughters' education because they wanted them to be working in the fields or they wanted them to marry young. And consistently I heard the message from parents, from teachers, from the local chief that girls' education was desired. The problem was one of poverty. In Zimbabwe, I met Judith Kamire, an incredibly inspiring head teacher.
When Anne first came, I felt that was a great opportunity because I had problems which I could not solve on my own. Girls were dropping out of school, and in a class of about 23 boys, you'd find there would only be 3 girls. But getting to the community, the place where women were supposed to be was home. And I really felt there was something wrong because the school is meant for both the boy and the girl. So the coming in of Anne enabled me to discuss with her as to how best we could solve that problem.
Poor parents want as much for their children as every other parent, as I want for my children. They just don't have the means to provide it. And so in 1993 I founded Camfed, the Campaign for Female Education, to support the education of girls in Africa. One of the young women we've met is Frida, and her circumstances are very, very difficult. She lost both her parents to AIDS, and yet she's taken up the reins of her family. She is not only supporting her own brothers and sisters, but she's also supporting the children of her brother, who also died of AIDS, and his wife. She has become the only breadwinner in that family. We provided a micro loan for Frida, and with it she started a flower selling business. She's been able to bank money in a fixed interest deposit account. She's probably the first woman in her family ever to have a bank account, and she has saved to the extent that she can now afford only to work part-time in her business and to come back to school. So she has returned to education because she understands the value of education. And so not only is she the mother to 4 children, she is also a scholar. Elizabeth dropped out of education. Her mother didn't have the means to pay for a new school uniform or the fees. And she would have faced a life where she had married young, had her children when she was still an adolescent, and probably the whole poverty cycle again would have begun. The Camfed program is now supporting her education. It's not hand to mouth anymore, it's real, and this support is guaranteed and continuous. And so with that security that Elizabeth now has, she's absolutely blossomed. She's doing incredibly well academically, and she's been chosen as the head girl of the school. Abigail comes from a typical poor background. She's lost her parents, and that is a common experience of many of this generation of adolescents and indeed of children in sub-Saharan Africa. She lives with her grandmother, and in spite of her absolute care and concern for Abigail, there was no way she could earn enough to send Abigail to school.
Samona kofe bankonkeleko baba bantambi balolekeshan ba kansela pof ya bana banshiwe fin. At Abigail banshangile nshinshiripo neshitwale mukwangala n'abananze naisa munafe bankonkera olubiro nishimwe nishachitika nibambuya bafwa ati awo tuyafe kunganda kuli fisuma ati ofo twashire yano kuyana bambuya banjikalikana paka chefi paka mpasa na ushwabigona tawo shishibe first time nga mwaisa mu January ka paluwe secondary mwabatu mutima fe wasekeremu first ndafwa ngana kwata mama ksaya ngifyafile mwachinje ba
-4 yes Abigail
kosi langu nursing nangu journalism then after that yanapusha fyonse ngana tampenchito na inenkale senda kwa bache banandi balabenenga abana banshwa na inenga fondi kula basambirishako kusambirisha omwana kashi chintu ichikankala sana kabe kisumanganashi.
We are supporting over 72,000 girls in education. We're now working with over 1,000 schools in some of the hardest to reach places. In the 21st century, all girls should be in school because that's justice. And beyond the justice, the benefits of girls' education are extraordinary. It has now been realized that the investment in girls' education is the best investment that a country can make. In fact, it's the best investment that the world can make, because the dividends are enormous. They will be the first generation through school, and so they are the role models. And coming out of school, they have aspirations. They are now aspiring to be doctors, to be lawyers, to have their own businesses and to become social entrepreneurs, to be part of the development of the social fabric of their communities. Nothing would make me happier than that tomorrow Camfed became redundant. When every child in Africa and throughout the world has the chance that they deserve, then we won't be needed, because they will change the world. They will make sure that the next generation is not born into poverty. And when they succeed, with our help, then we can watch them transform their communities. We can watch them transform our world. And we can stand back and admire the view.